How's it going out today, boys and girls in sporty land? This is Sports Trash Talking Nation with yours truly, JPC, the college football cowboy. And this is always the home of the common Joe and the common Sally. No, even more so than all those media talking heads. And today, class, what I'd like to talk about is the fact that Nick Saban is the best recruiter of all time. And it probably lends to why he's probably the best coach of all time. And today, this is motivated mainly because of what happened with the leaked Zoom video where he was talking to a recruit. And a lot of recruits are out there that are being recruited by various colleges, not just Alabama, are a little upset that this recruit allowed that to happen because it's supposed to be like a trusted situation. But in today's society, you can't trust anybody. Or as Stone Cold would like to say, DTA. Don't trust anybody. But before I get to that and why Nick Saban is the best recruiter of all time, I'd like to ask you guys and gals out there to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Subscriptions are most important. They keep me up and going. And in the good graces of YouTube and on the air. Now, back to the subject at hand. Excuse me. Got a little frog in my throat today. I'm sure all of you got that with this damn weather, the way it changes back and forth, especially down here in the South. But the reason why Nick Saban is such a great recruiter is it's pretty easy and simple, to be quite honest with you. But sometimes the simplest things are the hardest things for people to do because all they can see is glory and fame, money, victory, and they'll do anything they can to take a shortcut to get there. Well, Nick Saban doesn't really take those kind of shortcuts. And the shortcuts that he used to have, the man was so good that the NCAA actually had to put rules in place to keep Nick Saban at bay so he didn't run all the other coaches ragged. There's been many rules passed to keep coaches from recruiting during the off season on into, like March, April, May, June, July. Well, Nick Saban used to recruit like that year round. Now, I'm not going to get into specifics on the rules that they put in place, but anyway, they put rules in place so other coaches could get a rest and have a few vacations because Nick wasn't having it. Nick was just recruiting year-round. Of course, he takes vacations too, but not near as many as the other coaches. And so they had to put some rules in place just to stop Nick Saban. That's how great he was at recruiting and how much he actually loved it. And that's another thing. A lot of coaches don't like recruiting. A good example is Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier always hated recruiting. He made no bones about it. That was the most hated thing that he did not like about coaching college football. That's why he went to the Washington Redskins for a little while, but he came back to college eventually. But that's always been his bugaboo, is he hates recruiting. So, Nick Saban loves recruiting. And for you to be really good at something, normally, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, you got to love it. You got to love what you're doing to be exceptional at it. And Nick Saban, for whatever reason, loves it, whereas other coaches, not so much. So that's another reason. Sounds simple, once again, like I said. And another reason that's really important is the fact that Nick Saban, everything he says and does, it's got an agenda or it's got a reasoning or it's just methodical and everything's put in place into a precise reason why, and as he calls it, the process. Whereas these other coaches, they're not quite as organized as Nick Saban when it comes to the little things. Now, Nick Saban, another thing, and this is going to sound simple, once again, very vague maybe, but Nick Saban always has an outline of truth in everything he says. Everything he says, he doesn't leave it really open-ended to where someone can come back and take it apart and say, hey, you weren't very truthful or you was wrong about this. When it comes to recruiting, Nick Saban, everything he says is set in truth, and you can't dispute it otherwise, is the thing about it. Whereas some of these coaches, they leave themselves out to dry, leave themselves open to being questioned and being caught up in lies and falsehoods. A good example is, like I said, the Zoom video where a recruit was talking to Nick Saban and told him the negative stuff that they were saying. And one of those things was, for example, one of the negative recruiters, not sure which college it was, but they basically tell these recruits that why would you want to go to Alabama? You're not going to be able to play. And Nick Saban came back with a very good comeback to that. Nick Saban basically told the kid, look, not only is that not true, but it's an insult. They're actually insulting you. The person that's recruiting you, that wants you to come play for them, whoever's saying it, is basically telling you that you're not good enough. Because obviously they want you, they want to compete with Alabama, they want to win national championships like Alabama too. So if you're not good enough to win national championships at Alabama, then why would you be good enough to win national championships there? Because they are the ones saying that you're not good enough to play and win national championships for Alabama. So that in itself is a direct insult to your talents. And if I was you, I would be a little upset about that. And that's all I said to him. And it's the damn truth. If a player is not good enough to win a national championship or play for a national championship team, then you're either saying, A, they're not good enough to ever play for a national championship on any team, or you're saying that your program sucks. One of the two is happening here. And you don't want to go play for a team that don't have confidence in themselves and don't think they can aspire to national championships. And you don't want to play for a team that's telling you you're not good enough to win a national championship. And that's basically the way he called it. And that's the way he saw it. Nick Saban, if these other recruiters out there could just realize the simple stuff and just do the simple things, and instead of using negative tactics and putting yourself out there to possibly be outed and to made to look like a liar, basically by you negative recruiting, and just concentrate on your university and basically telling them what you expect out of them and the bottom line truth on what you think you can do for them, then you're never going to beat Nick Saban, because Nick Saban is just up front and just tells them, hey, look, we want you to play for Alabama. This is why. This is what we're going to do with you. If this don't work out, this is what will happen. This is how we get players to the NFL. This is how we do this. This is how we, if you want a degree, this is how we set that up. Nick Saban gives them all the information they need, and every bit of the information that he gives them, he doesn't leave himself out there to be made to look like a liar. Everything he tells them and says to them is going to be outlined in truth. And these players can see that. And that's why a lot of these players sometimes don't even go on to the NFL. They want to stay here and be a part of something special. Whereas at other places, they dip out, transfer portal. Of course, Alabama's had their fair share of transfer portal players, but for the most part, Alabama has a much higher retention level, a much higher redshirt junior class. Redshirt senior class. And if these recruiters ever want to catch Nick Saban, it's simple. Just be up front and stop the damn negative recruiting that people can pick apart and show these players, hey, this coach doesn't have your best interests at heart. He's negative recruiting. He's trying to succeed at the expense of tearing other people down. And once y'all can stop doing that and y'all can just come with the truth, for the most part at least, then maybe you'll be able to compete with Nick Saban recruiting. If you guys and gals out there got any other comments that maybe you think should be said and why Nick Saban is such a high-level recruiter and why he is probably the greatest coach of all time, leave it in the comment section. With that, I'm going to get off of here. Like, share, comment, and what? That's right, subscribe. Please smash that subscribe button at the bottom. It's all free fun. And with that, KMCA to all the other teams.